Am I reading it wrong?
No?
6.5 million, 16, 17, 2.2, 17, 18, 1.8, 18, 19, 1.3, 19, 20, and this does not talk about reserves for CIP, unfunded liabilities for retirees, and bringing contingency back where it should be and reserves back where it should be.
Right, and it's
Hang on.
1617 does include bringing reserves and contingency. That's why you see the large amount in 1617, the $6.5 million, because we are bringing in that year your contingency and reserve back up to the
That's
recommended
not
amount.
as much as the unfunded liabilities and CIPs are.
Correct. I just wanted to
because-
clarify that that is.
Thank
in
you.
there.
I believe we identified through the budget policies that wouldn't be addressed till 1718.
Not the CIP portion, the unfunded liabilities for retirees, correct, but not the CIP. If we don't put money, am I wrong?
I think we might be, I thought we were talking about both of those items.
No. CIP, we can't wait for CIP. After this year, we don't have any money and we have commitments.
So here's part of the complication that I see, is that there seems to be I don't want to say a resistance or a unwillingness, maybe it's something just watered down from that, to make some painful cuts, but there's still the expectation of getting us into this structurally balanced place. When I look at those numbers, I would say that I'm not elated, but I feel hopeful. I feel like we've got something to look forward to as things start to improve. Going through the drill down of what you're talking about with, how much does it cost us administratively to administer these things? Is there a way to reduce any of our salary and benefit costs, either on the salary side or the benefit side? This is the projection, the snapshot for now. So going through that process over the, let's say, next fiscal year and a half is where, hopefully, if things continue to improve economically, is where you'll start to see that even squeeze in more to the point where we can start looking at the investments in our infrastructure. And I know you're like me. I'm not that patient. Like, I want it to happen now too. It's just, how do we get there in the balance of not throwing the baby out with the bathwater?
And those are based on conservative revenue projections, and I'm going to call them fairly liberal expense projections, because that's pretty typical.
I have to say I'm pretty comfortable with this, because if you look at how much that represents, how little that represents, that the 1.3 of what our total budget is, that's a pretty good number. And you're right. Chairman Veerkamp's absolutely correct. That's conservative. And we all know that those numbers change. This is just a forecast of where we can get, and we're pretty close to structural there. That's a pretty close
I have a
structural.
question.
Sure.
And without the important part that Supervisor Frenzen and I participated in, with now policy, when that 2.2 goes to $10 million positive and becomes expendable funds, now it's prioritized to where it needs to go, so it doesn't become, guess what?
So
Supervisor Rinaldi?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So my question is, how far have we come, and to whether or not, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. Back in January, we were given a presentation. I'm holding the estimate from that day. Does that look familiar to y'all?
And
Laura, do you have that?
Binder, yeah.
Okay, so, it was page 14 of 19. This is where I thought we were as an estimate in January. And it starts with 15-16, with the 19 million that caused all of us to change our pants, followed by 16-17 at 13, almost 13.5 million, 17-18, 12.2 million, 18-19, 14 million. And now we're looking at things that are, plus or minus a couple of million. That's some pretty serious progress, in my opinion. And given what we don't know out there in time, and looking back on how our county has budgeted and how the structural deficit has looked out past the year that you just used your fund balance to solve all of your problems, it's pretty darn good. And while it's not perfect, it gives us an opportunity to find the savings, find the revenue improvements that will correct those problems. It's 16, 17. It's we still got a mountain to climb, but it's better, considerably better in my opinion.